Hello. We're just getting everybody about 30 seconds to sign in, and then we are going to get started. We have some exciting content for all of you today.
I also have a very exciting cup of coffee.
Cup of coffee.
You ever find there's certain moments in your week or day where coffee is really exciting?
I would say most days I'd say coffee. You know, when they talk about going on these different cleanses or workouts, coffee is a non-negotiable. You can't touch my coffee. I'll stop drinking wine. I'll stop a bunch of stuff. Just don't touch my coffee. All right.
All right, everybody, welcome to our caffeine-fueled webinar. This is exciting. Luke, tell us what we're talking about.
Super exciting. So I'm sure you've heard the word agent pop around. A lot of people ask us about it, and there's so much curiosity, and these webinars are really curated for all of you. And so we thought we'd tell you what we think is important you think about before you start deploying your AI agents, because they're very exciting, but there's some due diligence you want to look into before. So we're going to take you through the playbook, but before we get started, we're just going to pop up a poll. Have you begun integrating AI in your businesses yet? So as you're answering that poll, we're going to walk you through the agenda, and then Brendan's going to walk us through the results. So I'm accompanied by Brendan Howe, our founder CEO. Brendan, thanks for being here with me.
Oh, I guess I should probably advance the slide to the welcome to the intro slide. Yeah, there we go. Thank you.
I look way friendlier than you, I think, on that slide.
It's fun. I love these webinars. We love talking about AI. Whenever I'm talking about AI, I tell people my career in IT has now spanned 18 years running this company, of which 15 of those years I spent talking about IT infrastructure and cybersecurity that nobody ever wanted to talk about. And now everybody wants to talk about AI. It's like manna from heaven. It's fantastic. I love it.
100%. Yeah, it's nice to work in a field that's the hot topic.
For sure.
So before we get started with today's content, we always like to share with you what our next topic is going to be. I'm going to go out there and say that I think this is probably going to be our most popular webinar yet. Claude is the big hype right now when we talk about various AI platforms. And because there is such a curiosity, we thought, why not educate everybody about why we think everybody's talking about Claude and what you should know and what you should be using it for. So that'll be your next webinar. Please sign up. We'd love to see you there. So let's get into what we're going to talk about today, Brendan. We're gonna cover the current AI agent landscape with all of you. We're going to talk about a 3-part AI roadmap. We'll talk about what an AI agent is, different agent examples and use cases, and why you're not seeing certain ROIs with agents, right? What are the mistakes that we're noticing? And then we'll end with our famous Kahoot and a couple takeaways. So Brendan, walk us through the poll results. Let's get this party started.
So here's the deal. We got about 60% of people are just starting experimenting with AI agents. 17% of those on the call have not done anything with AI agents yet. 58% just starting experimenting. Another 17% are yes with mixed results. And there's 1 or 2 people that are in the agent expert field. But I answered that way, so that might just be us. So I may have skewed the poll a little bit so that I could see the results. But the bottom line is most of you are just starting experimenting. That's good feedback so that we can calibrate the session and what we're talking about based on where you're at, based on where your feedback is.
So what's the current AI landscape? Right now, there's a lot of curiosity, right, Brendan? But you're noticing that it's almost like buying a car and being so excited about the way it looks, and then realizing you come home and you got a 2-seater and you have a family of 5, right? So it's understanding the homework behind. So when we're big data people here at Techify, we love data, we breathe data, and we thought we'd share a few stats with all of you. So 2/3 of organizations are experimenting with AI agents, right? Experimenting doesn't mean that it's leading necessarily to the result you want, but there's a high level of curiosity right now in Canada. Less than 1 in 4 have successfully made them work, which
So, Luke, I just wanted to insert myself. So we just did a poll of the people in this webinar, and 62% are currently experimenting. McKinsey's poll has 2/3. So what we're seeing on this webinar is very close to the reality of a much bigger sample size that McKinsey did in their study. So a lot of people experimenting, not a lot getting results yet, but coming soon.
Work in progress. And I think this one is a really important one. 11% of organizations actually have agentic AI in production. And the reason I feel this is a really important one is it takes time to build an agentic workforce, right? So the companies that are doing the due diligence right now are going to see the fruition of all that hard work. And if only 11% of companies are actually diligently building their agentic workforce, we need to get that number a little higher. And 75% plan to deploy in 2 years. So that first stat doesn't tie into the second stat, right? So we want to help bridge that gap.
Awesome. So I've been talking this week to a couple CEO groups, and I introduced this concept that we've come up with, which is the 5 phases of AI adoption. And if you look at the research will come up with sort of a little bit more of an academic phases of adoption and maturity and stuff like that. What we've seen over the last 3 years is these phases, and I think it's important to just talk about it for a minute and think about where you're at. So phase 1 in terms of AI adoption is what we would refer to as playtime. Right? We're creating pictures or songs or videos or like cool stuff, and we're having fun with it. But we're not really using it for a lot of work. We're playing around, we're trying out different things, that sort of stuff. A lot of folks right now are in phase 2, or maybe even somewhere between phase 1 and phase 2. Phase 2 is the nibbling phase. This is like we've deployed some licenses, some assistant licenses. We've tried an agent or two here or there, and we're trying different things, but we're not, there's no overall plan. There's no overall kind of cohesion. There isn't the coordination. And with the vast majority of, in the sample size of about 50 CEOs that I've spoken to this week, they're really in that phase. A lot of them are in that phase 2, but they want to be in phase 3, which is intentional. That is where there's sort of there's strategy, there's structure. It's an intentional approach, and we know what we're doing. We've got an approach to cybersecurity. We've got an approach to make sure that we're transforming with AI safely. We have an approach to make sure the people side of things is kept in mind, because when we're intentional, then we can move to that real cultural change piece. And then if we have cultural change, then we can get into transformation, which is where we see all of our business metrics change. Relation of revenue to number of employees, relation of certain metrics like salespeople to how many deals they can close, customer service, quality of customer service, output, all that sort of stuff just changes across the board. And that's the kind of stuff that we all want to get to with our businesses, but we have to go through this intentional phase, and we have to make the cultural change to get to transformation. So
what does the strong AI roadmap look like?
Thanks for asking it, Luke. That's a great question. Where did you come up with that one? We've rehearsed this very well, obviously. As we walk all over each other. Okay, so here's what a great AI roadmap looks like. 3 parts. And so a lot of people are in that, what do I do? How do I go about this? Let's simplify it for you a bit. So 3-part AI roadmap. If you've been on our webinars before, you may have heard a little bit of this. If you haven't been on our webinars before, this is new. Great. Hopefully this is valuable to you. By the way, as we go along, and Anouk is talking, feel free to add questions into the chat, comments, interact. We've got some folks from our team that can respond. We can respond as we go through. If you've got questions that come up, please ask them, and we'll try our best to answer them as we go, or we'll definitely answer them at the end. So here's what the 3-part roadmap looks like. We've got part 1 is our assistant strategy, part 2 is our agent strategy, and part 3 is our custom AI strategy. So what is an assistant strategy? Well, this is not whether or not you're going to use AI assistants. This is which one and how many and when and what are you going to use them for. So this is the first part of it, right? So there's so much talk right now about, do we use Copilot or ChatGPT, or all of a sudden everybody wants to use Claude, and like Claude sort of leapt forward. A month ago, everybody's like, hey, have you seen Gemini and how Gemini has jumped forward? And we're going to get this whiplash all over the place. And there's fantastic things that all of these agents can do, and we have to figure out which ones we want to use. But don't get too worked up in what you use, because you're just gonna, like, it's like web browsers. You're gonna switch. You're gonna use different web browsers. You're gonna use different assistants, and so we want to make sure that we're using it safely and securely. And what we use them for is stuff like this. We're gonna use them for creating. Hold on a second. We're going to use them for meeting notes, meeting minutes. And so anybody that's people basically are not taking meeting notes anymore, right? And when we're sending follow-up emails to meetings that we've had, they're largely AI generated. So we've got little bits and pieces of, we're going to save 5, 10, 15 minutes at a time, right? When we create content, so if we're answering RFPs, we're not writing that ourselves anymore. I was talking to a guy this morning about shred claims. I don't know if scientific research and development claims with CRA, and hopefully CRA is not listening to this webinar. But I use Copilot to generate all the content for our shred claims and do the writing. So that content generation, if you have people on your team that are writing manually, writing stuff, responses, RFPs, documents, that sort of stuff, we gotta move on. You have another use case here is finding information. So there's been studies out there that have shown that people spend upwards of 1/3 of their time just looking for information and looking for data. And if you have an assistant and you have a good assistant strategy, then you're enabling people to find information way faster, right? And just another example of where a use case or assistance is if we're preparing for a meeting. Could be a board meeting, could be something else. Helping us prepare, helping us go in, helping us sound smarter, even if we only have 10 minutes to prepare for a board meeting. That's all the type of thing that assistants can do. And they can really help us. There's all sorts of different use cases. My pitch to you, I know we're talking about agents today, and I'll let Anouk to dive into the agent side of things in a minute. But if you have not deployed assistants out to your whole company yet, please have a chat with us. There's so much value. You're investing $5,000 to $10,000 a month in your people in terms of salary cost. To not invest another $30 or $40 a month to make them wildly more productive, you're missing a huge opportunity. Okay, so now we get to agent strategy, and this is what we're going to talk about today. So what the heck is an agent? Anouk, what is an agent?
Thanks, Brendan. So it's a teammate, right? So think of it as a digital teammate. I think the biggest error people make is they think it's just a tool. They think it's a tool like HubSpot's a tool, right? They think it's a tool like Teams is a tool. This is a teammate. It's got the ability to observe, reason, and to act a little bit differently than if you're using an assistant that is just you're communicating and prompting it. So they're adaptive and they can make contextual decisions. What's really important is to make sure that you've mapped out the workflows. We're going to talk about it, but agents are as effective as the way you set them up, right, Brendan? There can be a lot of excitement, but if they're not set up properly, they don't provide the results we want. So when you think of an AI assistant as a chatbot, think about working with your chat. So I'm asking chat a question, it's responding, versus an agent that is mapped to follow workflow. It's able to be adaptive and make certain decisions and liaise one task to another. So it's a multi-step task assistant. I hope that helps a little bit for everyone to understand. Now, a lot of businesses are using AI assistants, but agents are the next step. Why are agents the next step? Because they really personalize the experience to what you need, right? So think about having something that is ergonomically suited for your use versus just using a generic platform. So agents are really the next step in supporting your business and making sure that it's customized to your needs. Custom AI, Brendan.
So if we go to the third part of our AI roadmap, you create a really good roadmap. You're thinking about what's your AI assistant strategy, what's your agent strategy. Again, a note: if you're just focused on agents and you're not focused on assistants, it's not a good AI roadmap. And then once you're making that impact and you're developing and getting more and more, you're going to get into the custom AI world potentially, and that's where we're looking at taking our data, connecting all of our data together, maybe developing some new tools and some new models. And really what we're finding is more and more people are getting into the custom world because the buy versus build paradigm has really changed in the world. We've gotten so used to buying SaaS applications and paying monthly fees and stuff like that. The world is changing that in some cases it's faster, cheaper, better to develop your own as it is to get something out of the box and configure it and that sort of thing. So let's talk a little bit about where agents can deliver value, because this is really the subject of this. Like, hey, people are trying agents, people are interested in agents, but they're just in the early stages. They're not seeing the value, or a lot of people like around the world are trying out agents. They hear about all this agentic stuff, but they're struggling finding the value. So maybe we'll start with some use cases, and then we can talk a little bit more about some best practices around how to deploy agents.
Sounds good. This one's really special to me, and I'll explain why from a personal experience. I've had moments on weekends where I'm dealing with a banking agent, or I'm trying to call and deal with something personal, and I literally want to throw my phone or my computer. It is the most un-CX friendly experience. And the reason I'm excited to share this example with all of you is that we really took the time to build an agent to triage our customer service intake so that our clients would feel supported. There would be a warmth. It was really aligned with our company's values. So, Brendan, can you play the video for our attendees?
Coming right up.
Exciting. So the reason I love this agent is that you'll see she sounds like a person. She's warm, she's caring. And the reason we created this agent is that when people are having a technical issue, there's emotions involved. They're agitated. They might have a meeting they need to attend. And so you want to make sure that when they're calling in that situation, they feel supported. And right now, I was listening to CBC this morning, and there's agents under scrutiny for the government because they're not doing the due diligence in terms of the user experience. So that's our first example wanted to share. And our second, go ahead, Brendan.
Just before you go to the second example, I also want to talk about it from the perspective of our team experience perspective. So one of the reasons that we created this is there's a user experience, like a client service experience part that Anouk talked about, And then there's a staff or team member experience part, which is equally important. So here's what used to happen, and this agent refers we use on an off hours basis. So if anybody calls outside of regular business hours, they would get this agent. What used to happen is people would call and they would leave a message in a voicemail box. So not a really good experience for the user, but also for our team, the voicemails would be the equivalent of, hey, my computer's not working, call me back. And so then sometimes people wouldn't even leave their company, what company they were calling from and stuff like that. They just assumed we would know. And so what this does, and then the technical person would have to call back, get all the information, and then go and start work on it, so that they spent kind of 5 to 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes if there was some calling back and forth or missed calls or stuff like that. So they'd waste 15 minutes just gathering the information. Right? So then the problem takes longer to solve. So bad customer experience. The employee doesn't feel like they're as well supported, versus in this case, they get a transcript of the call, a link to the recording, and they can go and they can start working on it right away. And then the other thing this agent will do is, if a technical person doesn't respond during our target resolution time or target response time, then it will escalate it to the manager and get it redeployed, so then we can make the customer service experience better. And we're automating workflow around escalations and reaching out to other people on our team. So it's really think about these agents as taking a workflow in your business, taking something that potentially people don't want to do. It's not in the kind of top 20% of where they're the most valuable. It's in the bottom 10 to 20%, right? And if you can automate that and use an agent, and you replace that workflow, big impact. All right, 100%. Let's talk about the next one.
Yeah, I would say when you're thinking about what are the number one agents I want to start creating, you're thinking about what's causing the most delays, errors, and burnouts within your company, right? Where are the biggest pain points to help support? The second one relates to a topic that everybody is involved in when they own a business, which is human resources, HR. That was actually our first agent, I believe. We created an agent to support our team being able to find answers in relation to HR in real time. So I want to know how many vacation days I have left. I want to know what's my health coverage. I want to know what's my dental coverage. I'm not having to wait for someone. I can just go to our agent, which lives in our teams, and I can ask it about expenses. I can ask it about different HR questions. So we find that's very helpful because it creates a better employee experience in getting answers and alleviates pressure from our director of people and culture. That's our second one. Now, because we are Canadian, we always have to have a Canadian example. You ready, Brendan?
Well, yeah. So let's say either from a customer service or a sales perspective, maybe your organization deals with a bunch of bookings. So I was out at this event that was at Canlan, so we created this little mock-up of an agent that was booking ice time. So Canlan owns a bunch of rinks around Toronto, and I was lucky enough to be at the CEO meeting that was hosted at one of their rinks. So we created this little mock-up, but imagine if you're running Canlan, and one of the most common things is people calling up or emailing and saying, hey, I want to book ice time. I've been coaching hockey for 10 years. I've spent a lot of time calling and emailing and trying to book ice. What if we could just do it with an online chat bot and say, hey, I want to book this ice time. Let me know the availability. It gets back to me right away and tells me where the availability is, what the cost, and I can just click and I can book it and then go to a link and put my credit card information. And all of a sudden, because I know from experience, because of some of the challenges of doing this in booking ice, you need an actual person that is doing the work and checking the availability. So we take out that person in that workflow of them checking what's available and then responding, and the amount of time that they're taking to respond is subject to whatever their workload is during the day, if they have meetings, et cetera, et cetera. So I can't get a response right away and that sort of thing. So I'm taking this really simple example and saying, wow. And we've seen all sorts of booking engines and applications get created and stuff like that. But think about the opportunity with this. If you have an agent that's doing it, you're leveraging AI, you're leveraging the large language model. There's a way more powerful technology, and you can start to leverage other steps and workflow opportunities coming out of it.
Yeah, and I would add, we recently did a couple pickup games for Techify, and I had to book through Ring Corner, I believe, or Catch Corner, an app you have to download. And from a user experience, this would have been much nicer, right? So you're also making people want to work with you and go to your agent and increasing business with that experience, user experience.
For sure. All right.
No more lost thoughts.
Yeah, what's this one? What are we talking about here?
All right, so I pushed this one into our presentation because I love it so much. I think some people on this call could relate. I run an executive role. I have 3 kids, 3 teenagers. I have family. I'm sporty. I have a lot going on. So sometimes when I'm leaving work, what I was finding is I couldn't fully be present at home because there were so many things in my head, and I was so worried I'd forget something. And Selby told me this while I was walking in the hallway, and Mary told me this. So what I do now is I created an agent where I tied in all the KPIs that are most important in my role. Okay, what are the priorities for me to be doing a good job at Techify? I put in my culture index, so the way my brain works. And then what I do every night is I brain dump to Aegis. So I will turn on my speaker, and I will tell all the things that I don't want to forget for tomorrow and that I want to create as an action list. And then, as Brendan plays the video, you're going to see my brain dump is just me talking. And then it's going to lay out in a very clear, organized, methodological manner what I should focus on to do a good job in my role. And that to me has been a game changer. Love it. And the other thing I'll say is when you build an agent, what's kind of nice is you test it and then you can go in and tweak it, right? So if I don't love the output, I can go and change it a little bit. I can pre-populate certain prompts that I want to work with on a day-to-day basis. But as you can see, it's laying out all my priorities. I've also instructed it to do it in an EOS format because I enter it as per our leadership model. And it's been a superpower for me. So I wanted to share it with all of you.
And it seems to have some empathy. Like you've told it, to care.
I built it, Brendan. So I get a lot of love.
That's awesome. All right, I think we have another poll. Yeah. Hugo, you want to spin up this poll? So based on, we've given you some ideas. This is give us some answers. This is free form stuff. What agents do you want to implement in your business? So give us some ideas. So based on this, based on these ideas, what are different agents you want to implement in your own business? We'd like to get your feedback. So I'm starting to see some responses. We've got an HR. Somebody's mentioned an HR agent. What else? Research and proposal. Fee proposal writing agent. Yeah, proposal stuff is a very, very common thing. Somebody mentions a PowerPoint agent. PowerPoint is something creating decks. There's some good assistants that will do that for you. You don't necessarily need an agent, but if maybe if it's a workflow that you're regularly doing a certain type of proposal, maybe there is. See a booking agent. Oh, collections. Yeah, Percy, collections agent. You and I should talk about this because we've got a little bit of an idea that we're working on at Techify right now. Think about the repetitive manual process. See a board report, see design guidelines. The more we can look at our businesses and say, okay, AI is not a tool, AI is digital labor. We would like the digital labor to do accounts receivable follow-up. We would like the digital labor to create proposals, to help us with bookings, to do reporting, right? The more we can do this sort of stuff, this is a great list that we're coming up with here. And I just think that mindset, as we start to think more and more as leaders, how do we deploy AI and how do we deploy this digital labor? And what I've always found the best way is think about what repetitive manual processes. Like we need the repetition. So accounts receivable collection is a good example because we do that every week, every month, and there's a specific process. And AI can handle specific processes that are repetitive. And then if we can get our finance people to be doing higher level stuff, way better. All right. I feel better after that little kind of rant.
Just really quickly, Brendan, just for those of you who might not 100% still understand the difference between a conversational tool and an agent is narrowing the knowledge source, right? So there was a lot of proposal writing. Let's say you're an engineer and you have to abide by a certain set of rules, or there's a certain way you want the proposals to follow brand guideline. When you're creating an agent, you're tying it to a certain source. So I just wanted to put in that plug because I thought it was a good opportunity to explain it in a simple way with all the examples you gave us.
Yeah, we just have another one, construction schedule updates. That's another good example. So it's great when we lead conversations like this and sort of crowdsource different use cases because it gives people a whole bunch of ideas. Like every time I lead a discussion like this, it gives me a bunch of ideas for new stuff, and then I go and torture our team and say, when can we do this? Create a workflow to improve payroll processes. Yeah, people don't like it when they don't get paid properly for some reason. It's a good example, Lisa. Thanks for that. Okay, so biggest mistakes we see over and over again. We've been at this. We've started to help about 3 years ago. We started to talk to our clients about AI adoption. We started to help them with AI adoption. We've made a lot of mistakes ourselves. And we've seen a bunch of people make a lot of mistakes. And so part of our mission right now is to help people transform without making the same mistakes all over again. So one of the biggest mistakes is not putting the scaffolding or the support to really support AI adoption, right? The 20% PwC says 20% of AI is that their 80-20 rule is 20% of AI adoption is technology and 80% is how an organization adapts, right? So we have to put the scaffolding in place to help develop this new culture around using AI, right? Mistake number 2, Anouk, do you ever see kind of a lack of AI leadership out there?
100%. The one thing, and I listen to podcasts about AI all the time. I'm fascinated by it, and the recurring theme right now is truly this second error that people are making. So it's really expecting people to work differently, but the leader not being curious, not using the tools, not leading by example. It has such a high impact when employees start to see you experiment. Sunday, Brendan emailed us. He was playing with Claude. He was so excited. He had created this new tool. And so that's contagious hype, right? So our leader is leading us to also be curious and to be excited. In all the AI rollouts I find that they're much more successful when leadership is on board, excited, and not just on board, excited, curious, engaged.
Yeah, so when our next webinar about Claude, I'm going to show what I created. So just
pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
It's a month from now, so you're gonna have to wait in suspense. But if anybody wants a preview of it, it's amazing what you can do in a morning if you're trying to solve a problem, trying to create something. And I'm not a developer, but I developed hundreds of lines of HTML code that was able to just be cut and pasted on our website. In a new tool that we were able to use and that I used this week in a couple. So anyway, we're gonna talk about that. That's nice of you, by the way, Anouk. We talked about the 80-20 rule, right? This is according to PwC. Technology delivers 20% of the value. The other 80% comes from how an organization adapts. I was so excited about this stat. I mentioned it too early. Mistake number 3. Is really, this is a super common one. Thinking AI is just a tool, right? It's like a piece of software. And so we're just going to treat it like a tool. And we see this so often. It's happening all over the place that people are like, can you just set up an agent for us and put it set up an agent that'll take care of payroll, or set up an agent that will do RFPs for us. And if we just deploy this agent, then it'll change our culture, right? It'll just completely change our culture. So all we need is, we just need this piece of technology. And that's them focusing on the 20%, not focusing on the 80%. So obviously you have to figure out the 20%, but most stuff doesn't fail because of the 20%. If you think about ERP, the most common thing that happens in ERP projects is somebody comes with this great, wants to implement a great ERP solution, and then the implementation gets stuck on the human side of things. The training, the adoption, the continual improvement, the feedback, all that sort of stuff. So if you think AI is just a tool, you are running the risk of becoming a tool yourself. So please do not be a tool. Please don't make that mistake. All right, what are we doing? What are we working on next?
Pillars of AI adoption. So what's important when you're taking on an AI forward transformation for your company? A lot of different components. So we're going to talk about AI adoption and what's really important. And I could say this in my sleep now: strategy, structure, and people. If I were putting them in order, I would say people, structure, strategy, but you need to build the strategy and the structure and then show the people. So I agree with the order, but the people piece is the 80%, right? In terms of how are you getting it to stick? How are you getting people excited about it? And when Brendan was saying earlier, don't think of AI as just a tool, I would challenge everyone. I think you have to start viewing it even from a lifestyle standpoint. AI isn't going anywhere, right? It's only going to take up more and more room. Everybody needs to use their voice. Everybody needs to understand how it's going to impact and how they want it to impact their business. And AI adoption, when you're transforming, requires these 3 pillars to be successful, and they need to walk hand in hand.
Okay, so let's talk about the strategy. So we start with strategy and strategy, structure, people. So this is like folks, this is like a playbook for you. If you have this, so I was hearing from all these CEOs this week that were like, hey, I'm doing this with AI. I'm doing this. I'm trying out this. I'm trying out this. Why can't I get my people to do all of this stuff? And there's this like frustration of like, this can superpower our people. Why aren't they using it? Okay, so first what we got to do is we got to create the strategy. And this is part of being intentional about our AI adoption. So we need a good technology and data strategy. We need to decide, okay, what tech are we using? Like if you've got any on-prem servers still, if you haven't modernized your technology, then we have to make sure we're using modern stuff. If we're not using modern stuff, that's going to be a blocker for AI. Our data strategy is just as important, right? We talk, a common question is, hey, should I use Copilot or should I use this? I had somebody ask this morning, we're in a business that we're a Microsoft 365 shop. Compliance is a big deal. So yeah, you should use Copilot because your data is in Microsoft and it's more secure there, and that's a good approach to data. The next step, we got to identify the use cases. So how are we gonna use this stuff? How are we going to use AI? What are we going to target for the first little while? Then we build a roadmap and we say, okay, based on our use cases, we're going to do X, Y, Z, and we want to make sure that we have a proactive IT approach. Because if we're in reactive IT land, if our IT department or outsourced IT folks are just fixing problems, then it's going to be a blocker to AI adoption. You can't implement AI and adopt AI by putting in a service ticket. We need a different approach. We need to be more proactive. So then when you have the strategy in place, then you can put in place the structure that's going to allow that implementation. So if you think about, we work in 90-day cycles, right? What do we do in this quarter? So what are the 2 or 3? Maybe you start 2 or 3 use cases. But we start and we're going to brainstorm the use cases and say, what is it that we're going to do with AI? And then we're going to estimate what's the impact of these. And then we're going to train our team on how to do it. Then we're going to have them go off and implement. Then we're going to do quantitative, qualitative analysis of what was the impact. And then if the impact was high, we create success stories And then we have a quarterly strategy session again, and we talk about what are the next use cases. So we're layering success and success and success on top, and we go from using no AI to 3 examples to 6 to 9 to 12 to all of a sudden our culture changes because we're implementing all this stuff, and we got to train people on an ongoing basis, and we really need. It was fascinating to me today. Group of CEOs, I said, hey, how many people have an AI policy? 3 out of, I don't know, 20 had an AI policy. And so an AI policy is not what you can't do, it's what you can do. And it's we have to give our people the direction of this is what you're allowed to do with AI, this is what we want you to do with AI. Because if we don't give them that direction, they're figuring it out themselves. And I'm not sure we love that. The other part of the structure, we have to have best practices, auditing, and alignment to make sure that from a cybersecurity perspective, from a permissions perspective, from an AI readiness perspective, we're set up the system to best practices. There's hundreds of different ways you can figure behind the scenes your data and your settings and all of that sort of stuff, right? And so we got to make sure it's configured properly. Otherwise, our implementations will not be very good. And then when you send out the agents, hey, Luke, let me ask you a question. If you have a team of people that are unsupervised, unmanaged, unsupervised, and there's no accountability whatsoever, what is the result you usually get in a business?
I would say poor ROI.
Yeah. Or chaos, maybe, chaos. Right? So, but we would never have a team of people that, a team of human labor that's unsupervised, yet people are deploying agents and they're not supervising the agents. So we have to train, supervise, monitor, manage our agents. We could do a whole webinar on how to train and monitor and supervise agents. But just think about it like your digital labor. We got to train, we got to manage and monitor our digital labor. So I think you like this section.
I do like this section, but I want to add a little piece to what you just talked about. I think if there's one takeaway that I would like all of you to have on this call on this meeting is the point that Brendan just made is probably one of the most powerful points in our webinar. People get excited, right? So creating an agent's exciting. Starting to see work being done with you being able to sit back, exciting, right? That's the shiny object. There is too little consideration for governance and security and who is going to manage these agents. On LinkedIn the other day, I saw a video of a fast food place where a robot started hitting somebody who was eating their hamburger because it started hallucinating and started going crazy. So that's a robot, but agents can hallucinate, they can make mistakes. If they're not being maintained, you're going to have an issue. So I did want to just add that quick plug because I'm noticing that a lot. People think you deploy an agent and it's just going to fly for 30 years. It requires maintenance. It's like a car. You have to maintain it. You have to make sure it doesn't go off track and start to do its own thing. From the people standpoint, the first thing you need to do is you need to incite trust. How do you get trust? You get it from having fantastic data quality when you're building your agents, clear governance, and predictable outcomes. If you don't have trust, it's going to be a lot harder to get people on board. And how do you achieve that? You have an AI transformation specialist, somebody who understands how to change the way people work and how to walk them through it. Everybody in your organization is going to be a little different, right? You want to understand and meet them where they're at so that they don't get turned off. The second piece is a digital workforce manager, right? We talk about maintaining agents, making sure that all of your AI strategy is monitored and that agents just don't start making their own decisions without being monitored. That would be your digital workforce manager.
And one of the things that I'd add to this is just the thinking, these are new roles in all of our organizations. So this is to get you thinking, so moving forward, who's going to be in charge of AI? Like a lot of the issue around AI adoption right now is nobody's in charge of AI adoption in companies, and nobody's doing it. So these two roles, and whether you call it an AI transformation specialist, or some people call it a chief AI officer, the digital workforce manager is sort of like a business analyst, but the person that's going to train and manage and monitor the agents. These two positions, they can be internal if you're a bigger company, they can be outsourced, they can be fractional, but there are roles, there are seats that if you want to successfully adopt AI, it's really important. And I just want to add, the other bit of this is based on these different things in strategy, structure, and people. The foundation of this is based on success that we've seen in research from frontier AI frontier firms, companies that have successfully implemented AI. These approaches are from those companies. This is not just something that we've come up with on our own. This is sort of a tried and true approach. So it's important to consider that.
100%.
What else we got?
Yeah, agreed. Just, a little cybersecurity expertise. Make sure that your environment's not porous. So again, think about what AI applications need to be fired up is data. So sometimes if you don't have an AI policy, somebody could have the best of intentions and say, oh, I'm just going to download this AI app. It's going to help us. But all of a sudden, this AI app has access to the data. So you need cybersecurity expertise to bonker your AI strategy. That's a very important part. And last but not least, the success team. So when we do success team kickoffs at Techify after we've done our due diligence, governance, and compliance. And that is one of the most exciting parts of my role. I would say seeing people's faces light up when they start to understand the opportunity, the voice they have. You want to build a success team that represents different areas within your company. You want a couple non-believers in it. It's always good to get different levels of engagement, but that will play a big role in being successful in your AI rollout. Yeah, I will also, let me just quickly add this, Brendan. I'm just going to be very front of the net. There's two options here to everybody watching this webinar. You can hire for these 4 positions for about, I don't know, $350,000, $400,000 a year, or you can work with us. You get all 4 of those positions at once, and we're able to support in all of those areas to make sure that you stay safe and that your team knows how to use AI in an effective manner. Back to you, Brendan.
That's a great idea. People should just hire us. The success team concept too is something I think once people realize it more and more, it really resonates, right? You get this cross-functional team across your company, 10 to 20% of your workforce, and the people that are curious and really want to try out different AI stuff, you make them your success team. They're trying out all sorts of stuff. They talk to people in the kitchen, in the water cooler, and then all of a sudden, people are like, hey, I want to do that stuff too. I want to save 4 hours of time a week, and I want to be able to do that easier. And it's sort of a version of demand generation. So we don't do the old-fashioned way of technology is we buy it all and we kind of shove it at people and say, use it. This success team approach is like, well, let's give the technology to the success team. They can try it out. And then other people start to say, hey, I want that too. Let me have it.
100%.
It's a cool approach. Okay, so I think we've got one more poll in the world of audience participation. What's the first thing you'll do post-webinar? It seems like some of it will be reach out to Brendan and ask for an AI policy based on the chat. Other people, what's the first thing that you're going to do coming out of this webinar? What are you going to do? Hugo, do we have a poll we can, there we go. We'll spin up a poll. And as we've got that poll up there, I'm going to suggest something that you could do coming out of this webinar. One of the things that we've done is we've developed what we call an AI appraisal, right? So everybody's looking to figure out, how do I unlock the potential of AI in my business? So we've created a process that folks can basically find out where AI can create value for them. And it's a guided evaluation. We're going to ask you about 32 questions, where your business is at, what you're doing, what you're trying to achieve, a business or organization. And we will develop, go figure, we've created an agent that helps us do this. And we analyze, we've pumped in a whole bunch of research about these frontier AI firms and what they do. And then we'll analyze your current approach against this, tell you sort of where you're at. We'll give you an AI transformation score that looks like this. So you can see where you're at. You can understand your current state. Are you early stages, more mature? Where are the different things to focus on? We'll even give you sort of a draft roadmap. And I'm just going to go back to this. We'll give you kind of a draft, high-level 12-month roadmap of, if we were you, here's what we would do. Here's what we would focus on. So if you're interested, that's a 5K value. We're offering it to folks that are on this webinar. We'd been running a campaign, and it said kind of the end of February. But if you go to this website, you can sign up for one. I think we'll do it for you, just because you're on this webinar. But don't tell anybody else about it. Otherwise, it'd be a bit of a problem. Okay, so Anouk, it looks like we have some people that are going to dive into OpenClaw. They're going to create an AI roadmap, and one person says they're going to hire Techify. So I'm excited to figure out who that person is. Please reach out. We'd love to work with you. And what time is it now?
It's Kahoot time. So for those of you who've never joined our webinar, you can, Hugo's going to share his screen. You can go to kahoot.it, and we're going to share a code with you. And we do these Kahoots just to make sure that you're retaining the information we're sharing with you, and to have a little fun. The winner is going to get a $25 gift certificate to Starbucks, Amazon, whatever they wish. You will reach out, and please choose a fun name. So just make sure you tell us what your real name is if you win. These are always a big hit. Brendan, what do you find? What do you find the overall pulse is with people not having an AI policy as people are signing up and understanding the level of risk?
Sorry, you said the overall pulse?
AI policy, not having an AI policy.
Well, I think there's a little bit of a gap with folks. They think about AI policy as something that's like a compliance-focused thing, as opposed to enabling people what they can do with AI. And so the risk is people use free, unlicensed pieces of software. The risk is they don't know what to do. They're putting company data in where they shouldn't. There's all sorts of stuff. I'm also looking forward to see if Techify can win in our.
I never thought about saying it that way. Okay, we're gonna get started. If you're just signing up, don't worry, you're gonna be added in. We're excited to take you through this. Ready? And that speed at which you answer with will impact your score. And you can't see me. Right, here we go. Drum roll. According to the webinar, how many organizations are experimenting with AI agents today? 1/3, 2/3, almost all organizations, or very few organizations? Let's see. All right, it was nearly 2/3. Mixed answers. Let's see who's in the lead. You can't see me. Awesome. True or false? Most organizations experimenting with AI agents have already successfully deployed them. Don't forget, your speed impacts your points. You can't see me in the lead still. Techify right behind. All right, next question. Which phase of AI adoption is focused on intentional, planned use rather than casual experimentation? Playtime, nibbling, intentional, or transformational? I think that we're going to get high numbers on this one. There we go, intentional. Nice work. When we do these in our office, the hype is always the scoreboard. Mike's on a roll. He's on a streak. What best describes an AI agent versus an AI assistant? It only answers questions. It plans, decides, and completes multi-step tasks. It creates images and content, or it replaces employees. Nice work. It plans, decides, and completes multi-step tasks. It levels up from an assistant. You can't see me still in the lead. 28-point lead. Which of the following is not one of the 3 layers in the AI roadmap? Assistant strategy, custom AI, agent strategy, or hardware strategy? Hardware strategy. Nice work, everyone. A few more. Mike, taking over the lead, and Agent 1 is in second place. Which area is shown as a common use case where AI agents can deliver real value? Customer service and intake, payroll tax law, office furniture design, or building maintenance? Oh, everybody got that one right. Customer service and intake. Nice work. That's great.
They were listening to you, Anouk.
Agent 1 in the lead. It makes me feel good. At least somebody listens to me. I'm not at home. True or false? Technology alone delivers most of the value from an AI adoption. I hope you guys get this one right. There you go. False. You need technology, but you also need the people piece, right? And you need the change management support. All right, we've got one more. Let's see who's going to take this home. This has been fun in terms of the scoreboard. Agent 1 in the lead. Okay, last question. What is one of the biggest mistakes organizations make with AI according to this webinar? Moving too slowly, using too many assistants, thinking of AI just as a tool, and training employees too early. Nice work. Thinking of AI as just a tool. So let's see who our winner is. Third place, you can't see me. Second place, Mike R. And then first place, Agent 1. Good name too. I love it. So Agent 1, if you can just tell us in the chat what your email is, we'll take care of it. I love this. Very, very appropriate for this webinar. It is always a pleasure for Brendan and I to share the space with you. We are open to your ideas for content. We look forward to seeing you next month for one of our hottest webinar topics yet. And yeah, thank you for your time and input.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.
Have a great day. Ciao.